Good evening. My name is Joe Stranowski, Chair of the Rockport Planning Board. Seeing as we have enough members here to constitute a quorum, I am calling this meeting to order. And what I'd like to do is seat John Veman, who's an alternate, as a full voting member tonight. We're starting here, let's see, 5:33 is the official time of start. Planning board is comprised of volunteers appointed at the discretion of the select board. Our charge is to ensure that the applications that come before us comply with the town's land use ordinance and comprehensive plan. The board must determine whether there is sufficient evidence in the record, which is the material supplied by the applicant, to support a decision to approve the application. This is accomplished by comparing the information in the record to the requirements of the ordinance or statute. And so before we start this evening, does anyone on the board wish to identify any conflict of interest with the application that is before us this evening? And if so, I ask you to identify these conflicts now. Okay, hearing no conflicts, we'll proceed. Orion, did we receive any comments from the public, either written or verbal?
I did not receive anything, no.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so tonight's agenda is pretty simple. We have the approval of 2 sets of minutes, and then we have one final site plan application before us, and that's it. So let's go ahead and run through the minutes, which should be pretty quick. They're both pretty short minutes. Does anyone have any comments beyond the editorial comments that were provided online?
Not me. To be clear, we were just reviewing one of these minutes, Orion?
So on the agenda, it's just for the March, but the April, the April minutes were added after the agenda was already set. So they were turned in after the agenda was set, so they're in your packet for consideration. You can approve them at this meeting if you've had time to review them. If not, then...
Has everyone had a chance to look at both sets, or have you just looked at one? You okay?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. John, anything?
I'm good.
Further
I've
comments?
already made my comments online, and
Right.
it's like they incorporated them.
Okay. Okay, so let's see. So with that, we've got the March 23rd minutes. Would anyone care to put forward a motion to approve the March 23rd minutes as amended?
I'll move.
So moved by Jan.
Yes.
Is second?
I'll second.
Seconded by Jeff. All in favor? Okay, 5-0-0. Thank you. Next set of minutes are the March 30th minutes. It was a follow-on meeting, continuance of the March 23rd meeting. Any other comments or concerns about those? Okay, everybody's had a chance to review those already. Okay. Would anyone care to put forward a motion to approve the March 30, 2023 minutes?
I'll move it.
Moved by Jan, seconded by Jeff. All in favor? Okay, 5-0-0. Okay, so both minutes are approved. Okay, so now we'll move on to our first application. First and only application this evening. Consideration of a final site plan and change of use application for Peter Alsop pertaining to the existing barn on the property located at 33 Gurney Street, Rockport, Maine, and identified as map 007, lot 087, owned by Joseph Wright Alsop and Morgan Dietrich Van Voorst, and is being represented by Peter, not by Gartley and Dorsky.
Correct.
Okay, very good.
Yep. And my legal name is Joseph, which accounts for the difference there. Peter is a lifelong nickname.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so the final application, typically what we'll do is just give you an opportunity to run through the application. Just give us an overview. I know we've seen it a couple times before.
Yep.
Point out the high points of it. We'll ask you any clarifying questions. And then the board will accept public comment, and then we'll deliberate and come up with a decision. So, go
Great.
ahead, Peter.
Sounds good.
Just please introduce yourself one more time.
So my name's Peter Alsop. I reside at 33 Gurney Street, which is where we have a small organic vegetable farm called Full Moon Farm. And we're coming before the planning board tonight for a site plan review application requesting approval from the planning board for a change of use for the barn, the historic barn on the property, so that we can turn it into a farm stand so that we can sell our produce at the property. I'm glad to have our neighbors, Julie and Tim, here tonight. It's actually through their generosity of giving us a long-term agricultural lease that the farm is even here today, so happy to have them here. Let's see. What, in addition to that basic summary, what would be helpful to share with you or discuss?
Has anything changed from what you've told us previously?
No, I think the pre-site plan review didn't surface any issues that needed changing for the final site plan review. I think the application is largely what it was
Okay.
when we came before you a month ago.
Excuse me. Jeff, is it possible to put the site plan on the screen?
It's up.
It's up on yours, yes, I can.
Okay. Maybe that might just help you. There we go. That might help you walk through. So why don't you just give
Yeah.
us like a 3-minute overview again?
Sure.
Just
So
walk
what
through
you're looking
doing.
at there, the bird's eye view, the lower entrance is the farm entrance, upper entrance is the house entrance. So really the only work that needs to be done is an ADA accessible path from the parking area into the barn. The grade is such there that it requires a sort of snaking circuitous path to maintain a 1/20 grade to get into the barn. So that gray area there on the plan is indicating that. The barn is existing. We're taking kind of the right-hand side of the interior of the barn to use kind of for a farm stand setup. That's approximately 400 square feet. Not much is happening to the barn other than adding some lights.
Interior lights.
Interior lights, correct. Yep. No exterior lights are in the plan. There would be a sign, a farm sign at the entrance on the, let's see, left-hand side of that farm entrance, which is the uphill side of Gurney Street. Yep. And then two ADA parking spots closest to the start of that path. Yep, exactly. And that really is it in the way of
Okay.
land changes to make this happen.
Okay. And just quickly regarding the sign, I'm sure you're aware that
Yep.
there's requirements in the,
Yeah.
we don't review that
we
here
will-
tonight, but.
Exactly, we
right.
will fulfill
Okay. Yep.
the requirements of the ordinance for that.
Okay. Any clarifying questions from the board for Peter? Okay. John?
The parking is already there,
It is, yep.
and it's been there for quite some time.
It has for a number of years. It's a gravel driveway and gravel parking area.
So, and the blue dotted line is the property line?
Correct, yep, so that land to the right of that blue dotted line is the land that we have under lease from Julie and Tim, yep, which is where our greenhouses are. And then where the stone wall is, closer to the entrance, to the right of that is the cottage that Julie and Tim own.
So I guess my question is I can't see the distance of the setback from
It does conform to the 8-foot setback requirement.
8 foot there?
I think that's what it is, yeah.
Oh.
We'll get into that
I
detail.
think-
when we get to
Okay,
it, but yeah.
all right, great. Okay,
Okay.
great.
No other questions. Let's open it up for public comment. Anybody want to speak for or against? Any comments?
I would simply say that we think it's a good plan.
If you could you state your name?
I'm sorry, I'm Julia Hunter. I am the next door neighbor at number 31. This is my family's ancestral land, actually both lots were from the Rev. And to maintain the agricultural history of the town. I'm delighted that this project is going forward, and I'm very much in favor of the local producer being able to sell in person and not having to kick through layers of village people. And it was part of the character of the town for many years.
So the folks at home.
I'm sorry. I'll try to say that again. I'm Julia Hunter. I own the property adjacent, which used to be part of the same parcel that Peter also owns. I'm very much in favor of this project and of the local producer being able to sell direct to the local people around, whether it's year-round residents or summer residents. This is the kind of stand, actually, it's a slightly nicer stand than I remember from most of the farms in the area when I was a child.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for those comments. Okay, so with that, we'll close out the public comments section and we'll proceed with deliberation. So just a couple of notes here for the board. On this application, as you might recall from last time, there is a zoning change required for this to be approved because right now, retail business is not allowed in the current zone that it's in. We, in a prior meeting in March, looked at and made a recommendation to the voters on changing the zoning on this piece of property to be in the 902 district. In the 902 district, that would allow retail operations such as the agriculture store, farm store. So the way I'd like to approach this tonight is let's assume that we're reviewing this as though it is in the 902, that ordinance or zoning change is made, and at the end, we'll just put a contingency on our decision that that zoning needs to be approved by voters in order for our decision to be considered valid. Okay, so again, we're going to consider it as though it is in the 902 district, and we'll look at the zoning requirements that way.
Close the public comment period.
I did, yeah. That's good. Okay, so again, since this is not, it's not a new structure, there are no exterior changes to the structure other than just the walkway. This, I think, is going to be pretty simple. And I'm going to suggest as we go through here, each of the sections, what might apply. If any of the board members feel there's anything else that offers concern, please bring that up. So first off, as we usually do here, let's just take a look at the site plan that was submitted and the completeness of that site plan. Once you get a chance to do that, if anyone would care to put forward a motion that the site plan as presented is complete, we'll consider that and move on.
So moved.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
Seconded, moved by Jeff, seconded by Jan. Any further discussion on the application? No discussion on that. So as a finding of fact, the site plan application is complete. All in favor of that? 500, very good. Okay, next I'd like to move to zoning districts, section 900. And let's just take a quick look at the land use table, 917. What we're looking at there is that in the 902 district, retail is permitted, and that's what the use is that is proposed here. So I don't think that presents any issues. Any discussion on that? Just get to that table. Okay, so I'm looking at, let's see, section C. Okay. Section C of that table, 917, And under the 902 column, retail is permitted. So as a finding of fact, would anyone, let's see, I guess, as a finding of fact, the proposed use meets the requirements of the land use table 917.
So moved.
Okay, moved by Jeff, is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Jan. Any further discussion on that? Okay, all in favor? Okay, 500. Next one, let's just take a quick look at 918, dimensional tables right after that. Again, the only thing that is changing on the surface here, keeping in mind this is a 14.5-acre parcel, is that we're adding a walkway that's a semi-impervious surface. It's not going to dramatically impact the overall land. There's no change to the coverage with buildings. There's no new structures. The applicant did confirm that there is a 8-foot setback between the gravel parking spaces and the property line, I believe, which is required. And I think that's it on 918. So as a finding of fact, the application as presented meets the requirements of section 918. You have a question?
Well, I do have a question, because I'm just seeing this driveway that crosses between properties. That's been existing for a long time.
Sorry, when you say driveway that's crossing between.
It says a
Yeah, so
gravel drive.
That's going down to our greenhouses. It's a gravel access road.
The greenhouses are located.
Okay, well, so then it's a shared drive, which means there's no setback requirement.
Right, on that one, yeah. Okay. Anything else? Okay, as a finding of fact, the application as presented meets the requirements of section 918. Anyone care to?
So moved.
Moved by Jeff,
Second.
seconded by John. Any further discussion on that? All in favor? 500. Okay, that is all that I thought that was applicable in chapter 900. Anyone have any other concerns in 900? If not, we'll move on. Okay, let's move next to 1305, performance standards. 1305, again, has some minor things here. It talks about parking and circulation, it talks about landscaping, talks about exterior lighting, and talks about water usage. So I believe in the application that there is no exterior lighting planned to be added. There are no bathrooms, not any water in the farm stand, or in the barn?
Correct.
Okay, so that's not an impact. Parking and circulation, the requirements of 1305, anyone have any concerns about what's proposed there?
I believe you said this at the last meeting, that those parking stripes are really just diagrammatic, that they're not actually striped spaces.
Correct, yeah, there's no stripes, just a gravel area.
Okay, so no concerns heard on parking and circulation. Landscaping, given the fact that this is an agricultural area, it's a farm stand, it's a little bit different from some of the things that we look at along the gateway roads like Routes 1 and 90. So I would propose that we want to not impose any landscaping requirements on this piece of property. Wouldn't seem reasonable or applicable. Okay, so with that, as a finding of fact, would anyone care to put forward a motion that this meets the requirements of 1305?
So moved.
So moved.
Okay, moved by Jan, seconded by Jeff? Okay, any further discussion on 1305? Hearing none, all in favor? 500. Okay, let's move on to section 800. Section 800, Again, the only section I would think that applies to this, given the minor changes to the property, would be the parking, again, parking and driveway. This is the section that actually defines the 8-foot setback from the side property line. And in there also in the table defines that for 400 square feet. By my calculations, there are a minimum of 2 parking spaces required. So we certainly exceed that requirement. Any discussion on section 803 parking? Okay, any other areas that anyone on the board thinks would apply to this application, section 800? No. Okay, John, you okay with 803?
Yeah, I'm just,
Okay,
there's a little inconsistency in the ordinance, but that's okay. Go ahead.
okay, as a finding of fact, the application as submitted meets the requirements of section 800. Is there a motion to that effect?
So moved.
Moved by Jeff, a second?
Second.
Seconded by Jan. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor? Okay, 500. Okay, and lastly, section 1000. Section 1000's performance standards. And the areas in section 1000 that would normally apply would be, I think in this one, landscaping, and again, there's more on parking lot design. Parking lot design is pretty general here, it's just off-street parking, and then it talks specifically about boat and auto sales. So I don't think that applies since there is off-street parking. And then regarding the landscape requirements, again, it just talks a little bit more about landscaping. And I think we've already confirmed that landscaping wouldn't be required in this site, on this property. Any concerns, discussions on section 1000? No? Okay, so as a finding of fact, the application submitted meets the requirements of chapter 1000. Anyone care to put forward a motion to that effect?
I will.
Moved by Jan,
Seconded.
seconded by Jeff. Any further discussion on chapter 1000 requirements? Hearing none, all in favor? Okay, 500. And that was all that I thought was applicable out of the ordinance. Anyone else have anything else or any concerns? No? Okay. All right, so as a final step, just approval, the application is submitted with a contingency that the rezoning of this parcel be approved by voters as a contingency of this project approval tonight. So that's the only contingency that we have. So with that contingency of approval of rezoning by the voters, would anyone care to put forward a motion to approve the project in whole as submitted this evening?
I will.
Okay, moved by Jan, seconded by Jeff. Any further discussion on the whole project?
You want to just have Jan clarify what the motion is?
I move that the project go ahead with the sole contingent, go ahead as planned with the contingency that the voters agree to change the zoning
In the next,
in the next, well,
In June of
in
2020.
June of 2023, yes.
okay.
Okay, so then let's go ahead
We
and.
have a second?
Yeah, I seconded.
You seconded it, okay, so that was modified slightly, so let's vote on the motion put forward as amended. All in favor? Okay, 500. Congratulations.
Good.
Thank you so much.
Good luck to you.
I really appreciate your
Hopefully things will
time.
work out at the polls in June. I'm
I hope
sure they will.
so. Yeah.
Peter, I have
Yeah,
a question.
sure.
I'm fairly new on the board, and
Yeah.
I had wondered about why we don't have in our ordinance anything about handicap parking, and was informed that because it's a federal requirement, we don't have to write it, you still have to do it. I'm curious as to who told you where your information came from, that you needed a handicap spot. Did it come from Gartley Dorsey, or did it come
Yeah, it was
from-
my concern that opening a retail establishment, we needed
Okay,
the ADA accessibility,
Yeah.
and that was confirmed by Will.
Okay.
I have subsequently heard from other people that there are reasonable accommodations to the ADA, which may not necessitate that, but I have not found any actual verification of that.
No,
It does seem the
my
federal
underst-
law applies.
my
In all
understanding is that the
circumstances.
code officer would have told you if it didn't pass. No, that's not so.
It's not a code requirement.
Oh,
Almost nowhere in the country is it a code requirement.
Yeah.
interesting,
Yeah.
okay,
It's a civil rights law.
right, and everybody is supposed to know it. Okay. Did a good job, thank you.
Yeah,
Okay.
thank you
Welcome to
very
the
much.
neighborhood.
Thanks.
Appreciate it.
Do you think you're gonna be selling this summer?
Yes, that's in part the reason for this conditional approval contingency. We'd like maybe by the end of June to have that farm stand up and running.
You gonna post that somewhere, advertise it, so we know to come out and buy
We
stuff?
will, and we'll have a launch party, and please come and buy lots of produce
Oh,
from us.
absolutely,
Absolutely.
great.
What do you have? Do you know yet?
We've got all sorts of things, wonderful heirloom tomatoes, beautiful salad greens, all kinds of things.
Good.
Cool.
Yeah, all organic as well.
Great. We'll see you out there.
Great, thank you.
Good,
Thanks.
thank you.
Thanks for coming.
Thanks for coming.
I'm glad I was here.
Okay, that is all that is on our agenda. There was no other business. Anyone have anything they'd like to bring up?
Just a reminder for June, the 5th Thursday.
Right, 29th, right.
Fifth Thursday, and that's changed on the town calendar.
Yes.
It's
Sorry.
on the town
Okay, great.
calendar.
I have
You
two,
won't be here?
I won't be
You
here
won't
for
be
the
here on the
4th. I'll
4th.
be back here for the 29th.
Yep.
I have two questions. One is, it's been mentioned, training for planning board.
Yep.
I'd like to get,
I got
reminded
you.
about
Do
that.
do you want training?
Sure.
Okay.
Depends on, I mean, you can talk about it.
I'll send you the other email for it. It's got the dates. It's a Maine Municipal Association. They're putting on a training
Okay, yeah,
seminar thing, so the town will pay for it if you want to go to it.
Okay.
I think that one's gonna be in person.
Do they do them online?
They used to do them online. This one, I'm not seeing that
I've only
one
seen
out.
them live,
Yeah,
as long as
I
I've
think
been
they're
here.
doing the
yeah.
live
Yeah.
versions right now, so.
Yeah. And then
And
the
they
second,
have them in various locations. I think the last one was
Weekends
Lewiston.
or?
I'll have to, you know what,
you're still working for a living?
I've got,
There are better ways to live than that.
let me see if I can find it quickly. I know I emailed it to y'all. Maybe I can do this.
Okay, Paul, any other official board business? You guys could work out those details.
Yeah, the other thing that I wanted to get out was, a workshop on LD 2020 or 2003 and on affordable housing. I noticed that the Camden Planning Board is doing that. I've tuned in to one of them, and I might go to the next one that they have.
You're more than welcome to, but just keep in mind that how they do things and how we do things,
Yeah, but
different in some degrees.
we're gonna have to start defining.
We will have to
and
start
there's no
defining
point in
it,
being
and
an
we will
argument.
be
Yeah.
doing workshops
Yeah.
undoubtedly.
Yeah.
I think right now, there's still some like ambiguity into what, these final things are gonna happen, so.
Sure.
Once those kind of go through, then we'll start doing our workshops.
So I've been out of pocket. Anything happen with the delay?
No, not yet.
Not yet.
So I emailed you something as a newsletter from
Oh, yeah.
Midcoast Council of Governments, and they're like a little blurb on it, so it captures it pretty good
Okay.
as to an update on it.
Okay.
Yeah.
In there, I don't think they mentioned it in the newsletter. Is there any plan to vote on a delay or?
We don't.
No.
Yeah, I mean, there's bills, they're going before the state senate, and they'll make a determination. Outside of that,
But you don't know the timeline for that.
I haven't the faintest idea. Nope. Jeff, you tuned into it?
I don't know.
Yeah.
I haven't heard the scuttlebutt recently.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, up in the air, but yeah, when I get back, I'm hoping by the time I get back, we'll have a determination from the
Have a
state.
great honeymoon.
Oh, I will.
Yeah.
I'm going to.
Good.
Okay, so if there's nothing else of concern, anyone care to put forward a motion to adjourn?
Move to adjourn.
Well, John,
Okay, second
yes.
What's the time?
by John, and all in favor,
6:02.
500, and so the meeting is adjourned at 6:02.
6:02.
Gee, that's a record.
Yeah, it is. I don't think we've ever gotten that early.
All right, thank you.
Good.
Jeff, we not live anymore?
Call us back next week.